This is Param Gill, writer-director of Last Supper, and I'm here with Sean Evans at Back to Movies. We are standing on the edge tonight, make the wings so we can fly. Standing over the edge, falling over the edge, yeah. We are hanging on the edge tonight, need 1,000 wings to fly. Standing over the edge.
The show we have writer-director of Last Supper, Param Gill, who joins us today on the show. How are you today, sir?
Doing great.
Good, glad to hear it. And now it's great timing how the second I finished watching the movie yesterday, you popped up on Facebook and instantly we set up this interview. And I know it's very early over there, so I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Sure thing. I appreciate you having me on board.
No problem. So The Last Supper, for those who don't know what it's about, revolves around two romantic lunatics who escape from a mental institution to record a movie about finding a princess and being rewarded with a magical kiss. Now, one of the patients is a man named Funanya, played by the very comedic genius Eddie Griffin. And how did Eddie get on board with the movie, Param?
We were packaging this project at Brillstein Entertainment, so I've always been a big fan of Eddie. In fact, I wanted him for my first film, but I was too young and inexperienced, and I basically couldn't afford him at the time. But this time I had my mind set on having him for this movie. So we made the right presentation, and I mean, the biggest deal is for A-list talent in Hollywood to read your script, and it's very difficult, even if you make an offer. So we made the offer in the right way, and he read the script. In the middle of night, he woke up his agent and he said, "I want to do this." So that's how he came on board.
That's fantastic. His poor agent waking up at very early in the morning going, "What, Eddie? What do you want now?"
He's all sleepy. "What's up, Eddie?" He's like, "I'm doing this movie. You make sure." He said, "Yeah, but I'll tell him.
That's fantastic. It's nice to see that Eddie had such passion for the movie. I mean, straight away, I imagine from the script, it was instantly very appealing for him to come on board, as his character is very diverse. Now, the name Funanya is a West African name, roughly translated to mean "love me." I mean, it's also a very feminine name. Now, was this done intentionally to give this male a female's name to kind of match his ideologies of kind of fairy tale love? Because he has very kind of crazy ideologies of love, doesn't he? The very fairy tale Romeo and Juliet style approach.
Yeah, you've caught it absolutely right. My co-writer on this, John Buchanan, he worked very hard. He came up with this name, and it took a lot of research to get there.
Wow, well, it's definitely a very unusual name, and I'm glad it was done intentionally within the script, because it really fits in with his kind of mentality. And I mean, the film itself, it starts out as a very crude film, but then it starts to slowly evolve into really quite a heartwarming story. I mean, what gave you the idea to kind of blend such extreme comedy with heartwarming undertones, so to speak?
See, Eddie is known for a certain kind of comedy, and if you suddenly take Eddie and put him in a film which is not something that his fans expect, then you would be in a situation where nobody would want to see your film. In other words, there'll be no audience for your film. So we started with what Eddie is known for, and his fans expect from him, and we slowly take that fan base towards a more heartwarming story, which was always the intention.
Did he ever feel out of place doing something so out of his comfort zone? So from the extreme comedy where he feels most at home to be kind of thrown into, it is a very sort of dramatic story as it kind of gets to its climax.
Yes, and that's what attracted Eddie to this film. He always gets these offers for doing loud comedy, and here was an opportunity to do something different and play out his strength. And since you've seen the movie, the scenes where he's crying or which are heavily emotional scenes, he has come out with flying colors.
Yeah, definitely. Now, Najara Townsend plays a working girl who Funanya and his friend Andy meet along their travels. Now, what a wonderful part she plays throughout. It's brilliantly acted. It's very tastefully done. So congratulations in the way you directed it. It was absolutely amazing. Now, how many times did she break character on set, having people like Eddie around joking and making everybody laugh? Were the kind of times on set where you just couldn't concentrate because of the amount of comedy that was going on?
Yeah, with Eddie, there's never a dull moment on the set. There's always something going on, always a blast. But there is something special about this girl, Najara, and I noticed that she is the most consistent actor that I've ever come across in my directing career so far. And I'm on to my fifth film now, so I've had some experience. That girl, her tonal quality, her expressions, she will repeat the same thing over and over and over unless you ask her to change something. I mean, you may ask her to do that 20 times and it'll be exactly the same like the first time. That's incredible.
That is incredible. It shows the work of a true professional. Now, aside from cast, let's talk about you, Param. I'm reading on the internet that you are tipped to be the next big thing. I mean, do you feel any pressure for people naming this title in front of you and kind of putting a big weight on your shoulders before you've even taken off?
This movie has won quite a few awards, and it sort of puts some sort of pressure on you as a filmmaker. Okay, what am I going to do next? But, I'm a full-time dentist. When I'm not making movies, I am working in a dental office as a dentist. I think that's pressure enough. Anything else is pleasure.
And that's quite fitting considering your next movie is called Dentist 3D. Now, is that something that you thought of? It's like, why not? I know the profession. Why not make a movie about it? Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, there's so much comedy in a dental office, and I've been sort of putting it together for past 10 years. And I think time has come to to take that comedy and bring it on big screen.
Do you think you're going to be nervous? Because obviously dentist is kind of a nerve-wracking experience for those who do go. Some people are very scared of going to the dentist, so it's actually a very sort of uncomfortable place to be. So, I mean, how are you going to really spitball the comedy out there to kind of get past all the nerves that people have when they go to the dentist?
There's actually, there's physical comedy and there is emotional comedy. And I don't know if this word has been used before, but there's a lot of emotional comedy in a dental office. How patients react to pain, how patients react to diagnosis, to different dental treatments, to different dentists. It's quite an incredible comedy that unfolds there. And if you show it in a way that it's not tasteless, I think that would be something unique, something that hasn't been done so far.
Yeah, definitely. And if when all else fails, just hook people up to laughing gas, and I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine.
That's a good one.
Now, the film itself, Last Supper, I mean, how long was the shoot and what kind of equipment were you using? Because the film has such a Hollywood quality to it from such an independent budget.
Yeah, we actually, you'll be shocked, we shot only for 18 days. And even for those 18 days, it was a 6-day week for 3 weeks. And out of 3 days out of those 6, Eddie had to leave early by about 2 o'clock because he has a show at Rio every night in Las Vegas. So he had to catch his flight. So basically this was 9 half days and 9 full days. We shot on Red Epic, 2 of those. Some days we used 3 cameras because we were shot on time. But we were able to pull it off because of the professional actors. The actors were all so good. We didn't have to go up after too many takes. Eddie, is one take artist. He would just get it right. And Najara and Josh and Mindy Robinson, she was such a pleasure to work with. And Dave, so good actors, and that's why we were able to pull it off quickly.
Yeah, no, I'm nice that you mentioned Mindy there, because she's actually a good friend of us here at Back to the Movies. We're always trying to support her career as and when possible. I mean, how did you come across her work? Because she seems to be featuring in just about everything at the moment.
Yeah, she's busy, man. She is very busy. Yeah, I was looking for that stereotype of a nurse, but at the same time, someone who could bring that added dimension to it. And I just looked up her work online, and I was impressed. And I got in touch with her directly, and I said, will you do this? Are you available? And she said, okay, what are the dates? And she didn't have the dates available at the moment, but then she made them available for me. That was very kind of her. I'm always appreciative of that.
That's brilliant. I mean, it's nice to see that independent film. I mean, I say this with many of my interviews. Independent film, it always feels like you're working with family, so it always feels like you're more close to everybody that you work with. Did you kind of feel that on set, that everyone was kind of like a family bonded unit?
Oh yeah, I mean Eddie's priest used to be on the set. His rabbi, sorry, priest is in India. His rabbi used to be on the set. We were all always trying to make it work. There was never a moment where somebody lost his temper or any other issues. We were constantly just working to get the best movie out that we could.
Fantastic. Now, the legendary Penny Marshall, for those of you who don't know who she is, which I have no idea why you wouldn't know already, is the director of Big, one of many films. She makes a cameo appearance in The Last Supper. I mean, how did you manage to get such a huge name on board to kind of make this little cameo? And secondly, how were you able to kind of find a suitable cameo for her to play?
There was always this director in the movie who watches these antics on YouTube and wants to encash and considers them the next big thing in Hollywood. And so initially we wanted Quentin Tarantino, and I got in touch with his people, but he was very busy at the time. And then Eddie came up with the idea of Penny, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. So I talked to her over the phone, and we actually shot Penny right in her bedroom where she watches TV all the time. And as soon as I was done with my third take, she's like, "Get up." That was it.
Very busy lady, very busy lady. But yeah, she makes a great little cameo role. Now, what I wanted to ask you, Param, I mean, if you were thrown into the story of The Last Supper, you just escaped from a mental institution and you wanted to record a movie, what kind of film would you personally record, and why would you do that?
I would probably go looking for a Juliet myself. I am personally a very, very romantic person, and um, I think I would make exactly the same movie that Eddie and Josh have made in Last Supper.
Okay, fantastic. So first thing you would do is go out and find a hooker and try and do this sort of
Trying and say
Richard Gere, Julia Roberts, Pretty Woman thing. I like it. I like it a lot.
In an independent format.
Yes, exactly, an independent format. But from your quality of the movie, it's just going to look like a Hollywood epic anyways. So congratulations on making it look so damn good. It was fantastic. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me, Param. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you for taking the time to speak to me so early in the morning as well. And I wish you all the best with the movie, and any extra help that you need, just let me know.
Thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate you having me here.